Hello Collective, welcome to the channel. It is September 18th, 2025. Let us tap right in and see what storyline Spirit would like to share with us. Storyline for the Collective, please Spirit. Storyline for the Collective. In the central energy, we've got the Chariot. Somebody's got a victory over something or moving forward with something. In the challenge position, got the Hermit doing some research, finding something out, going within, in the subconscious. Page of Wands, freedom, embarking on a new adventure. In the recent past, we've got strength, a challenge, overcome, intentions and expectations. The Lovers reversed, a detachment. In the near future, Queen of Pentacles. The lens is being looked through. We've got the World. It flipped out into the reverse. Somebody does not have closure. They weren't able to complete something. They weren't able to complete a cycle because you got a victory. Because of your strength in the environment. Nine of Pentacles, fruits of your labor. Somebody's in a tower. And the outcome, Knight of Pentacles. Routine, hard work. Somebody wants to make an investment. Four of Swords. Contemplating. Making plans for the future. So you've got a victory over something. You're moving forward. Moving forward. We've got, so you've got you're going on a journey. We've got privilege and perfection. So you do not cut corners. You make sure all your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed. We've got the Hermit here. So there's some research being done. You're shining. Embarking on a new adventure. You're free of the backstory. You're free of the past. strength here. Some kind of challenge that you had to be strong through. A religious, an important religious person. Maybe you had to be strong in the face of some strong religious person. Maybe you are a religious person, an important religious person. We've got the Lovers in the reverse. Appearance. Fear of commitment. We've got the Queen of Pentacles here. Maternal instinct. Taking care of things. With the Witch. The World reversed. Incomplete. We've got Sovereign in the reverse. They're not seen as a sovereign person. They are a witch. We've got the Nine of Pentacles here. Life of luxury, a dream come true, coming into the fruits of your labor, the work that you have done. We've got Innocent in the reverse. There could be somebody who's not innocent, who's in a tower. You're coming into the fruits of your labor, your reward. So somebody who isn't innocent is in a tower and the grave. Those who are not innocent are going in the grave. And I don't like listening to these ones. It's so old listening to them talking about getting a relationship. And then sacrifice and, prostitution, sexualize everything. It's sickening. Anyway, you've got some hard work here on a routine. What's going on with that, Spirit? Competition. So there's a Knight of Pentacles here on a routine, hard work, competing with you and getting disconnected. They were trying to be you, so they brought you hardship and they're getting disconnected. Your competition is getting disconnected for bringing you hardship, for pretending to be you, for being flighty. They're getting the message. They don't have a stable foundation. They're not willing to be responsible. They were fighting with the evermore, or they want to communicate. They want to put up your dukes. They have a very, very limited perception. And they've been being watched. Their location. They could be trying to hide the location where their things are. This wise guy is afraid of the new pathway that was prophesied, for it is time. It's here. Whatever was prophesied, and I don't know what that is, it's here. So you've got a victory over some privileged person, perhaps. You didn't take any shortcuts. You didn't make any deals. Perhaps you are moving into a status of privilege because you didn't take any shortcuts. You did not surrender. You didn't take any shortcuts. You crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's, you felt all the pain, you transmuted everything you needed to in order to gain the internal fortitude and stability to manage a status of privilege, to drive the chariot of this status of privilege. So you had to go through a lot of trials. You had to build the internal fortitude, you know, so that you can stand strong like the tree that doesn't break, you know, it just kind of bends with the wind. There's been a lot of research here going on. You're in your chart, you got a victory, you're moving forward into a status of privilege. You did not cut any corners, you did not surrender. You did a lot of introspection. You've got your shine on. You probably researched a lot of the ways that you could increase the energy of your body to increase that, so that you, you don't get low, you don't get sick, you you nourish yourself properly, or at least you keep the light on. You didn't surrender. Self-esteem. You possess gifts of the soul that benefit yourself and others. You could have a victory over somebody who is privileged. This important religious person, perhaps. You had to be strong. Yeah, you got your freedom. You had to be real strong. So you got your freedom here from the past, from the backstory. You didn't surrender to these witches. No fear. You're not afraid. You're free. You didn't let fear stop you. You kept going. So we've got a religious, important person here. There might be something, or somebody who thinks they're important. We've got death. And humor in the reverse. So they don't think it's funny that you are courageous, that you didn't let fear stop you, that you continued to research on how to get your shine activated, how to activate those gifts of the soul that benefit you so that you could make it through this challenge. Whatever this is, it's in the toilet. You got death and there's no humor about it. It's not funny. This religious important person, or this important religious person, they do not think this is funny. There's death. There's death. We've got the Lovers in the reverse. So they made a lot of bad choices when it came to union. There's an appearance. Somebody wanted to appear as though they were available. Doubt. So somebody was bringing disharmony. They wanted to appear single and available. They're having doubt. We've got the Queen of Pentacles here and a witch. We've got unsuccess. So Queen of Pentacles is bringing this witch a failure. We've got the World in the reverse and Sovereign in the reverse. The witch was not able to complete their cycle. They're not seen as a sovereign being. They're not happy. There's no happiness in them. You've got a Nine of Pentacles here, the fruits of your labor. The reward. And we've got Innocent in the reverse. What's going on with this not innocent? Balance in the reverse. So those who are not innocent. So you've got you've got a life of comfort coming to the fruits of your labor, which is throwing these people here, this witch who wasn't successful. They weren't able to complete the cycle. They're not seen as a sovereign being. There's no happiness in them. They're not innocent. They're completely out of balance because you are coming into the fruits of your labor. And they're very envious about this. They're in a tower and they're very upset because this is the grave. So you've got the grave here and you've got death there, religion and witch. They're not innocent. They're out of balance. They're not sovereign. They're not closing out this cycle. They're in a tower. There could be something going on with their health. Grave. It's in the toilet. There's a tower here. There's chaos, grave, health. They need to honor the physical vessel that enshrines their soul. This is the end of their health. They're not able to siphon your shine anymore. Tower. There's a sudden insight. There's the grave. They're looking at the grave. This is the end of their health. They cannot siphon your light. And the divine stated that this is the end of their relationship with batteries, meaning they cannot continue healing themselves if they can't siphon your energy. So we've got a Knight of Pentacles here. They've been working on a routine basis, trying to compete and fight with you, and they're getting disconnected. Because you're releasing all of the negative energy. You're a being of love and you deserve peace. You want peace. You're disconnecting them so that you can have peace. Come on now. Judgment. They're under, these prideful people, they're worried. They're under judgment for what they have done. They want forgiveness from the abundant, limitless beings who they brought so much adversity to in the mind. They don't know what to do about this change. These envious ones are having to accept responsibility for their own well-being because you persevered through their challenges. Now, these ones that are going into the grave, you know, they were like, you're not going to last a year. You know, they're certain that they can have a mole or a spy or some kind of fraud in the territory that when the smoke clears, they'll be able to take you out just to spite. You know, they know they've lost, but, you know, they're hoping that they can get somebody into your territory that, you know, eventually can take you out. They're thinking they can do it within a year. They don't think you're going to last a year. So you've got the Chariot here. You've got a victory. You've got a victory over these people who had a sense of privilege, or perhaps your victory is moving you forward into a status of privilege because you did not take any shortcuts. You didn't sell your soul. You didn't do any blood oaths. You didn't make any agreements or sign any contracts. You didn't surrender. You felt the pain. You dealt with the anguish. You investigated how to get your light shining brighter and brighter and brighter. How can you deal with this death energy and this orgy magic and all of this disgusting crap that these people were putting on you? And you had to research how to make it work. And these ones don't think it's fair. You know, you're moving. You're moving. And this could be literal, or it could be you're moving into different dimensional realities. You could be shifting into a new realm. I heard this curator and his buddies saying that he was moving her into a new world. God lifting up the divine feminine, the divine mother energy in all of her aspects. So they sacrificed you. You were resurrected. You were led back into an ascension. You did not surrender. You figured out how to keep your light on, how to purify, how to really amp it up so that you could maintain yourself with all of this death energy that was being put upon you, that you had to transmute. And in order to transmute death energy, while your mind is being flooded with this insanity, these programs of insanity racing through your mind, you know, you have to, you kind of have to expand out and then encompass it, right? And you have to encompass it with your shine, and so that you can then, you know, process it. And it's, at least that's how I see it. And it takes a while sometimes to encompass it, because you have to research and figure out how are you going to get more amps out of your freaking voltage or your electrical system or whatever. How are you going to do it? For many of you, you've been at this for decades. You've learned a lot about holistic medicine, about plant medicine, about, you know, food, proper water, hydration, cellular flow within the system, softening the walls of the cell itself so that you can get your nutrition into the cell. You know, as you age, those walls of the cells get hard, and so they collect debris or, you know, toxins, and it's difficult for the water to get in and flush the cell if it becomes too rigid. So you got to break down that that rigidness of the cellular wall so that you can get the water in, and so that you can get the medicine in. I mean, for me, you know, years ago I got real heavy and I had to take high blood pressure med. So they kept increasing it, and I'm like, what the heck is this? So then I researched and I did some things which I won't share because it was rather dangerous, but I did get the cellular wall to soften, and then I was able to get more of the medicine into the cell, and I was able to cut that medicine down by 3/4 just by caring for the cellular structure and the system that it was floating in. So that was really incredible. I'm sure a lot of you have done that kind of stuff too. I mean, there's a gal on Twitter, she could not walk, literally. She had some stuff going on, and she, using plant medicine that she grew herself and medicine that she made herself, brought herself back to health, and she's walking and everything. So it's really incredible what you can do when you set your mind to it. Dr. Joe Dispenza is a wonderful example. So you did your research on how to get your shine on. You wanted to amplify and turn on those gifts of the soul that benefit yourself and others. And it's like you worked it. That was your challenge. You had to work it. And you couldn't surrender. You weren't going to surrender. You get two choices. You either get your light shining, or you go into the grave, man. You got two choices. And you could go into the grave, you can let the insanity drive you there, and you can just let the misery drive you there. Or you can say, you know what, I'm going to smile, I'm going to shine, and I'm going to be happy despite the chaos that's being flooded into my mind. And then just enjoy life. Sometimes it's a difficult challenge. And then there's always those who say, well, that wasn't hard enough. I'm going to give you something harder now. And there's always that. you're too happy, you're too healthy. Somebody wants to come in and change that, you know. We got Earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. You may be. There may be somebody here in your challenge position. You could be moving in with an Earth sign. Page of Wands, you've got your freedom here. Limitless potential. You're free from the backstory because you did not allow fear to stop you. You did not surrender. Give it time. You did not let fears stop you. You know that everything happens in divine timing. You let it flow. This river called life, you know, sometimes it's real shallow and real slow. And sometimes it's that raging white water with the thing that's the whirl that sucks you down and won't let you go. I mean, the river of life can be a real challenge. Everything in divine timing. You want things to come into alignment. That way you don't actually wind up in a whirlpool. So you're strong here, courageous. And you've got this important religious person here who's experiencing death. They're not having a good time with this. They're not happy about it. They don't think it's funny. You're too strong. They're very mad. They want you in the grave. They've been talking, they've been getting real mad because they know that's what's coming for them and they desperately want to project it out onto you. See, you were researching how to get more out of the temple that houses your spirit and soul so that you could transmute and wrap up and, you know, get beyond this death energy and this black energy and this fear energy and all of this orgy energy and all this nastiness that this witch and this religious person were putting on you. These non-innocent, non-sovereign people. And they were researching how to undo you. And it was like a serious fight. It's like you were getting it on and they were trying to turn it off and they just couldn't do it. We've got a Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. This could be an air sign. You may be an air sign, moving in with an earth sign. Take it as it resonates. So they really did not do well with the lovers there. This religion, apparently they were supposed to guide families and, you know, counsel them, keep them on the straight and narrow, you know, path to God and all that. But they were more worried about their appearance. They weren't worried about the lovers or the union. This person had a fear of commitment. They didn't want this to happen. They wanted that passion project. Now they're full of doubt here. And we've got a confession. They may be confessing. Finally, they're confessing something. And this came a month or so ago, maybe 2 months ago. There was the thing that, you know, a lot of these people have billions of dollars. They have great wealth, great reward. But none of them confessed any of the things that they were carrying inside of them. None of them actually earned the reward. They were not on the path for the reward. They were on this witch grave tower thing, trying to knock other people down just so that they could look important. So we've got a narcissist. Queen of Pentacles is here. Maternal supportive mother figure. Could be a protectress working on your security. She's ensuring that this narcissistic witch who's too full of themselves is not going to be successful. She's making sure that they're not successful at whatever they're doing. She's turning it off. We've got the World in the reverse. There's an incompletion. They're not able to bring closure to this red rum, what do they call it? Red rumorous escapade or something like that. Yeah, so it was an unaliving escapade, and it required betrayal and a lot of fear, a lot of harm, a lot of terror. So incompletion, for those who are not sovereign, they're not happy about it. They have no happiness inside of them. Caution. You may need to use caution. They may need to use caution. You've got coming into the fruits of your labor. You're going to get a life of luxury, and they're so mad. Apparently, you're going to live for 1,000 years. You're getting a life of luxury. You're not a flamboyant, flashy, flash and clash hoe bag. You're just out here trying to do the best that you can do, to be the best that you can be, so that you can transmute the negativity that's coming at you, and then balance your inner self and your outer self, right? So that was your work, while their work was trying to flip you, trying to knock you out of balance, trying to steal your sovereign position, your victory, your shine. So they're not innocent. You're coming into the fruits of your labor, and those who are not innocent are completely out of balance because you have this stability. You've got this stability. Now they will try to come in for date night. They've been talking about this crap. These freaking phalluses walking around with legs, man. Getting ready to come in and wine and dine you because they're in a tower and this is the end of their health. They need to latch on to you because they've lost connection. They've been disconnected. So they're stalking. They're going to come in and try to get into your 3D space and sex you up. This is sickening. It's like the whole world seems to be full of that. Tower, grave, health, and we've got patience in the reverse. So it's like there's no few more months. There's not even, this says just a few more months, good things come to those who wait, but it's in the reverse. So it's like they don't have a few more months. They're not going to get good things. Their health is in the grave. They're in a tower. We've got Knight of Pentacles. Invested routinely in fighting with you, competing, and they're getting disconnected. The negativity is being released because you deserve peace. We've got intuition here. So this says the red flags you ignore now will come back to bite you later. So use your intuition. You've got these stalkers out there still in the environment wanting to come up for date night. They're not innocent. They're out of balance. Their health is in the grave. They don't have a few more months. Chaos is their life, and they want a fire sign to open their heart. But they let them go. There's a divorce here. And the answer is no commitment. Absolutely not. They're going to get a message from your guardian angel. That this one cycle has ended and the new cycle is beginning, and luck is on your side, and that they need to keep their distance with their intimate freaking thought processes, because it could be because you're in a honeymoon phase, or because they were lying about the honeymoon. They were lying about the commitment. This was a gold digger. They only were getting with people, narcissists, so that they could take again. Look, the third party jackwagon little hoe bag looking for money. They want to siphon the wealth out of your womb or whatever. So they're getting told to move on. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. I was thinking about that on the way home. You know, you got these collapsing governments and all of that. And then you've got the pictures, you know, of these masculines, you know, hiding in the bushes, making out with each other and stuff. And it's just wild to me that this is so much nastiness. I cannot hardly believe it. But there's something with Canada, like Quebec, something's going on. France, you got these people, man, they want to come in and hook up with you, but it's like they're these third-party enemies trying to get in your space. So, and it's not like they, so some of them may actually want to get a contract and put you in the grave. They want to get a date with you so that they can knock you out of balance, perhaps cause you a tower and trade places with you here in this grave. They don't got very long to go. They're desperate to get into your energy. Yeah, definitely use your intuition and don't ignore the red flags. You've got a victory here over those of privilege, or you're moving into a status of privilege because you did not cut any corners, you did not cheat, you did not make any deals, you did not surrender to these third wheel enemies. It could be that they have to move now because you didn't surrender. Love wins. Faithful, loyal union wins. You're moving into a status of privilege. You did not surrender, and therefore these third-party enemies have to move. They have to move. You've done your research on how to get more amps out of your shine. How to power those gifts of the soul that benefit you and others. You could be an earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, or you could be getting challenged by an earth sign, a third-party earth sign. Understanding. They may be challenged by this third party may be challenged by an earth sign. You may be connected to an earth sign somehow. You didn't surrender to these third parties. They have to move now. They got to get out of your territory. You won the competition. You won the competition. They have to get disconnected. You've brought understanding to the forefront. So, you've got your freedom from the past and those of it because you did not surrender to fear. Everything is happening in divine timing and you're moving into your destiny. Let things flow. You're very strong here with the Strength card. You're very courageous. We have an air sign, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, who could be an important religious figure. We've got death and humor in the reverse. Somebody may have recently perished. We've got reunion in the reverse, like there's no reunion. Whoever this is that was more worried about the way their appearance and their status than they were about guiding families and marriage unions. They're not getting reunited. There's death there. They have to move because they fostered this third-party passion project. They wanted to get rich quick, and all you had to do was have a lot of sex, and everybody liked that idea. So they were more worried about their appearance. They're having doubt here. They're making confessions, and we have time. It's too late for them to do anything about it. So they're trying to confess, but it's too late for confessions. They waited too long. So we've got the Queen of Pentacles here. This is a supportive mother figure. She's working on security. She could be a protectress. She's dealing with this witch. This witch is not successful. They're a narcissist, too full of themselves. They're overwhelmed. They're being overwhelmed by this Queen of Pentacles. They're stressing out. Damn it. My sleeve keeps knocking this off the table. So they weren't able to close out a cycle. They're not sovereign beings. They're not seen as sovereign beings. There's no happiness in them. They're not happy. We've got caution. Caution, neglected. They failed to give you what you needed. They neglected you. They neglected everybody. Everybody that they bewitched. Everybody that they got into this contract and then made a... I don't know. What do you want to call it, man? Scrambled them up, ate them up. You got your the fruits of your labor, but we've got somebody who's not innocent there, or somebody doesn't see you as innocent. Somebody who's not innocent. So they're out of balance. They're coming in for date night. These are people that were laughing about how fun it was to hurt you. It could be that they remember what it was like to be with you centuries ago when they first unalived you. How many times have these jackwagons sacrificed you, divine feminine, divine masculine? How many times did they put you in a state of suffering throughout the centuries so that they could appear important? It's crazy. It's crazy. So there's a hope and a fear. The tower is here. There's chaos. There's a grave. There's a grave here. This is the end. This is the death to their health. And we've got patience in the reverse. There's not a few more months. They're not getting good news. Reflection in the reverse. They're not able to, their mirror magic backfired. Their freaking mirror magic backfired. They weren't able to copycat you. Their mirror magic backfired. They're dishonest. Wow. They were trying to say that they loved themselves, but they were all in this passion project crap. Guilty of trying to mess with soul ties of responsible families because they were unsatisfied with the way their own life is going. So they wanted yours. Irreplaceable love, irreplaceable this, but it's not part of who they are. They wanted what you are getting because of who you are, but they aren't that. So they've been working on a routine basis with this magic, this witchcraft, competing with your life, and there's no competition. It was straight up abuse because Shining One isn't competing with these abusers. Shining One is doing research to figure out how to get more amps out of their own electrical system so that they can combat these death energies that were being placed upon them with this witchery. So Shining One isn't in competition with these witches. Shining One is in competition to see how great of a transmuter that they can be. How great of an alchemist can they become? That was what they were focused on. And these ones were focused on dumping more and more and more and more and more onto them. And you didn't quit. They made mistakes. Yeah, so somebody needs to, okay, so We've got they worked on a routine to fight, fight, fight. They're getting disconnected because you're removing all negative energy. You deserve peace. And we've got intuition. Use your intuition and don't ignore the red flags, because we've got some folks out there that made mistakes and wish they could right their wrongs. Now they want a passionate soul tie with somebody who loves themselves. They're guilty of they were unsatisfied with family life, and now they want it after trying to utterly destroy it and throw it into hell for eternity. You're getting a new chapter, because the way you love is irreplaceable. You focus on the right things, you know? And so because you were able to get your shine on, to add life to your own status, to activate those gifts of the soul that benefit you and others, you added value to your soul. You became greater than you were before. Even while hundreds, if not more people, were dumping their foul energy and their whatever nasty fluids they were working with and all this other stuff, trying to bind you, you know, it's crazy. But you just, man, you got your shine on and you're like, transmute. And you may not even know that you're doing it, because you got your shine on so darn bright that they try to hit you with this negativity, and you're happy because you know, survived a whole bunch of nastiness. You got a victory. You've got a victory over those people of privilege, or you're moving forward into a status of privilege. You did not cut any corners. You handled it perfectly. You felt the pain. You gathered it all in. You learned how to expand your light body, and then you encompassed this dense energy and you transmuted it. And you did it over and over and over again. You may have done it for years, if not decades, if not lifetimes. And all of that experience culminated in this present moment when you have this shift. This shift that apparently wasn't available in the previous centuries of shifts. So you're going places, and you did not surrender. So there is a moving out. These third parties have to move out. They're not able to give you any more natural disasters. They got to move out. Take your danger, take your stuff, and go. You did your research on how to get your shine activated more and more and more and more and more. You built up and firmed up your gifts of the soul that benefit you and others. You could be an earth sign, or there is an earth sign in your energy that has an understanding of what has been going on here. And maybe you have a greater understanding now because of all that research and all that trial and error. You, like, if you're like me, you were using yourself as a guinea pig with all these new, you know, homeopathy or natural plant medicine, you know, techniques on how to do certain things within your temple. I mean, I tried a lot of stuff. One time I thought I might have hurt myself real bad because my parasympathetic nervous system was fluctuating for like 3 days. It was crazy. I'm like, well, I'm not going to do that again. But I did get real good results. You know, I survived, which is a real plus, but I did get real good results with it. Just don't want to let it get out of hand like that again, I guess. So you're free of this history, this backstory, because you did not let fear stop you. You're giving it time, everything in divine timing. You let things flow like that river of life. You're moving into your destiny. You have reached your goals. You have reached your goals. You're in your purpose. You will be soon. A status of privilege. You are strong here. You're very courageous. There is an important religious figure here who's not happy because there's death. There's either a literal death or this is an ending. of whatever they've been enjoying. We've got the air sign, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and we've got reunion in the reverse and fright. It could be that he was doing something to try to stop this reunion, and now he's afraid because there's death here. If he had prayed for death, for the reunion of these star beings, these shining ones, so that they could steal their status of privilege, yeah, well, he should be afraid because that's all coming back on him. Whatever it was that he did, it's on him now. Because they were trying to stop this reunion. We've got lovers in the reverse. They were doing something. They were trying to bring death to this reunion. There's lovers in the reverse. Or maybe this was just their work to bring about, to just eliminate loving, loyal unions between a man and a woman, because they had their own agenda. These men. All these men. All these men in competition with you. And they were siphoning your energy, or trying to, and dressing up this copycat, this third-party copycat, trying to get them to be seen as you. Last night they were saying that she needs the energy in order to, what? Work it. She needs your energy in order to be seen as you, in order to do any magic with your energetic signature, in order to dress up and pretend that they love themselves, whatever. It's too late for them to take any action. They're trying to confess. They're having doubts. It was more important to them to appear important rather than to guide properly families. You triumph. It's too late for them to do anything about it. These third parties, witches and religious people, they got to go. They're not able to close out this cycle. They're not a sovereign being. They're not happy. We've got caution. You might want to use caution because they have nothing to lose. And they neglected you. They failed to give you what you needed. But we've got fate. And it could be that that's their fate. Like, because they did this to you, they weren't able to close out this cycle. So now they're not sovereign. There's no happiness in their life. They're going to have a life that's going to require caution. And they're going to be neglected. That's their new fate. That's their destiny. While yours is this 9 of Pentacles. They may have known that this is what was going to happen. You're getting a life of luxury, a life of plenty. And those who are not innocent are completely out of balance. They're out of harmony. And they want to come in for a date. They'll be back date night. They want to come back. They're missing the inside joke. They may know who you are. They may have been following your many cycles of birth and death so that they could continue siphoning off of your energy every time that you came into a new chapter. While they just lived and lived and lived extended lifetimes by feasting on your energy. We've got imagining. So they're reminiscing about how great it was to mess with your mind. How great it was to be part of your mind. They siphoned your mind. They're in a tower. They want to cause you a tower. We've got grave and health. So their health is in the toilet. They're going to be going into the grave. This is the end of their health. There's no patience. There's no few months. There's no good news. Reflection in the reverse. It could be the mirror magic came back because it was a lie. Whatever they were doing in the mirror, it was a lie. So it's coming back on them. Their attempt to reflect you, to copycat you, is in the toilet, and you're okay, you're stable. This is why, because you're stable. Because you did everything you could to amplify your electrical process, so you've got the electric, and then you've got the magnetic, you know. So those Knights of Pentacles, those knights who were working for money, they were getting paid to fight with you, sovereign being. They might have been getting paid by the witch, or they might have been getting paid by this religious person. They're getting disconnected because the negativity is being released. You deserve peace. And then use your intuition. These people made mistakes. Don't ignore the red flags. They want to compromise. Maybe they did not ignore they ignored the red flags. They ignored the red flags. They made mistakes. Now they want to compromise. They're stressed out. Why? Because you still love yourself. Because you love yourself. And so this conflict is over. You're not venomous. You're not full of malice. You don't want vengeance. You left that for God, just like God said, vengeance is mine. So you left it for God. And you just did your part to see how great you can shine, you know, so that you could transmute that stuff. And so what you're doing now is you are a being of high value. And so you're coming into eternal love. You focused on the right stuff. You focused on peace. You focused on love. You focused on staying happy. You focused on getting your light on. You researched how to do that. You trial and errored with your own self as a guinea pig. At least that's what I called myself. And so it's like there's death. So those mask wearers who were bringing you accidents and danger, they could be in that themselves. Or we've got death. So mask wearers, we've got danger and death. They're stressed out because they wanted that for you. And the whole network that worked with them around this, they're in a nightmare. They could be getting, I heard the curator talking about a psychiatrist. He might be recommending his people to go see them. All this energy that they've been putting out to try to drive your mind. They were talking about F60, running an F60. Running an F60, F60 series, F60.0, F60.1, .2, .3, .4, .5. That is mental instability, like schizophrenia and bipolar disorder and that kind of stuff. So I knew it was religious witchery. I knew it, man, long ago. My intuition said this is religious witchery, and sure enough, it freaking is. You've reached your goals anyway. You reached your goals anyway because your prayers were heard despite what they did to you. You're getting a new family tree because you care about family, because you care about yourself, because you care about you care about your inner peace. You care about learning information that's going to help you remain calm, remain settled, manifest peace and stability, get more light out of your temple, transmute dense energy. You focused on the right stuff and you've triumphed here. It's too late for them to take any action. Confessions aren't going to do anything for them. I mean, I don't know. I'm not God, so maybe God has a system of things. Maybe confessions help. I don't know. Heck, I didn't get a card for the near future. Let's get one of those. Okay, near future. We got our protectress here, operating security regarding ensuring no success for this narcissistic witch. They are stressed out and overwhelmed by your blessings. Queen of Pentacles could be very blessed. They could have a lot of talent and technology at their service, or at their service. This reunion is bringing misfortune to these religious witches, these narcissistic third-party religious witches. So you've got control here, and you're moving into a status of privilege. You did not cut any corners. You did the work. You did not surrender. These third parties have to move on. They're no longer, these servants are no longer able to bring you natural disaster. Maybe they're going to go into a world where they got to get a job and become a servant. These folks, you know, they don't get regular jobs, you know, they just kind of do. But there's a swap happening. You did research, you got your shine on, and you activated the gifts of your soul that benefit yourself and others. You could be an earth sign, or there's an earth sign that has an understanding about what has happened here. You've got a bright white halo and a beautiful golden light coming off of you. Your shine. Your shine. Thoughts. You might have some ideas here. Like your research and your gifts may have, well, they brought about an understanding of sorts. There's some kind of thoughts here. An earth sign might be thinking about it. You're free of the backstory, the history. You did not let fear stop you. Everything in divine timing. You're floating along on the river called life, and sometimes it's treacherous, but you've reached your goals and you're moving into your destiny, your purpose. You're no longer in a mental prison, and they cannot trap you. You're strong here, and we've got an important religious person who could be paranoid and frightened about this death magic or whatever it is. It's not funny. They were trying to bring about a death to your reunion, or maybe because maybe they're getting a death and they're not taking part in this reunion. They're not seen as sovereign. They weren't able to close out this cycle. It's like they're getting rejected by God. Lover. They're frightened by your lover. They're paranoid by your lover. Whoever that is. Whether it be in the 3D, in the astral, in some other universe, in some other star system. So we got the lovers in the reverse. You know, they were worried about their appearance more than they were worried about the lovers. They did not serve them. They served themselves, and now they're in doubt. They're confessing. It's too late for them to take any action because the sweetheart has triumphed. The sweetheart who did their research, got their shine on, and activated the gifts of their soul. You have triumphed. You did the work. You did the work that you needed to do in order to activate your blessings. To gain enlightenment, right? You learned a lot. I mean, for me, it was over 30 years of unconscious, you know, being driven into some sort of miserable life. It was terrible. And then the last 20 plus years was conscious awareness of this spiritual battle. So it's crazy. But throughout all of the research and all of that, consciously, the effort, you know, to understand and to manage, you learn a lot. It's amazing what you learn about yourself when you start trying to manage yourself in these dire circumstances. Doctor, there's a narcissist here, overwhelmed by your blessing. They're sick. They're going to the doctor. Incomplete cycle. They're not sovereign. It can't be seen as you. There's no happiness in them. And it looks to me like their future is one where caution will need to be utilized. There's going to be neglect, and that's their fate. Maybe they weren't able to close out a cycle because they were trying to flip you, steal your happiness, and create scenarios where you had to be cautious while being neglected. And now that's their fate. This is what they gave to people. You've got reunion. Your fate is reunion. You're coming into this reunion. But they weren't able to close out a cycle. They can't be seen as you. You're getting your 9 of Pentacles, life of luxury. You're getting a life of plenty and stability. Those who are not innocent, they have no balance in them. There's no harmony. There's nothing. They'll be back for date night, but they're reminiscing about how fun it was to mess with your mind. Constantly. Constantly. So whoever's coming in for date night right now is somebody who constantly messed with your mind and thought it was funny. This is a witch or a religious witch. Take it as it resonates. But they're coming in, they want a date. Their intention or their hope is, or their fear, both, they want to swap places with you. They're in a tower and their health is in the grave. They're looking at the grave and it's within a few months. They don't even have a few months. We've got reflection in the reverse. They weren't able to pull off copycatting you. They're seen as a liar. It could be that whatever mirror magic they were trying to do on you has reversed onto them. You are stable. You are okay. They could have lied about being stable and okay. This is an old woman. So this old woman doesn't have long to live. Pleasure seeker. This old woman, pleasure seeker, does not have long to live. They were working routinely, fighting with you. They're being disconnected from your peace, from your love. You're removing the negativity. You're using your intuition. And you're listening to those red flags. The intuition is your connection to source, your connection to God. So your intuition is telling you about this stuff here, the negativity that needs to be released. You've got a third party enemy here wanting to compromise. They're stressed out in the head. They're insane. They got all this mental stuff. They're paranoid. So they got this paranoia. And they got some kind of insanity going on in their head. This curator was talking about the psychiatrist. See, we got stressing out hard, and we've got grave. Like, these people are they're not doing well. Priest. So we've got important religious person back here doing death magic on your reunion. It could be back on them now. They're not taking part in this reunion. They're done. They're no longer a sovereign being. If they ever were seen that way, they're not. This priest is all stressed out. They want to compromise about this third party enemy, this passion project. They're going on a journey. They're going on a journey. So they're making their journey. That's another death card. We've got journey, grave, death, tower, and success in the reverse. So they were paid money to do a service, to steal from the children, the innocent ones, to cause scholars to become widowers, or to teach people how to do that, to cause malady in the room, in the mental body, and how to bring despair to people who had hope. These people wanted to bring a misfortune to the Lord's wedding. And they are going to receive death for doing so, because joy will be in the house. This wife has a fortune of shine, of energy, of life in her. With all this research, boy, you're a blessing. And this faux soldier is surprised. They're surprised. Yeah. You got a prideful, haughty, snotty young woman in melancholy because people are talking about love. People want love. And this enemy is sighing. They're like, no love, third party. Somebody's waiting on a messenger and they need consolation because you're faithful. You are faithful. They tried to paint you as something other than. They lied. Oh, this priest and this religious facility, they tried to paint this sweetheart in a real bad way. They lied so bad. They lied so bad. They wanted to destroy the Lord's reunion with his sweetheart. And they have to give back everything they stole now. Of course, they don't think that's fair. They have to stay in their own lane. This servant cannot bring you any more natural disasters. They got to stay in their own lane. These third parties have to move. They got to get out of the territory. You did not surrender, and they got to get out. You did your research on how to activate more and more shine, more and more light in your body, how to activate the gifts of the soul that benefit yourselves and others. You've got this solar plexus shine going big time, but you've got this white light around your, and this isn't just around your head. This is like all the way down into your solar plexus. Phenomenal light. Influencer, you may be an influence. You have an understanding of what it is to activate this light. Somebody else may be all up in their thoughts about it because you're influencing people. You're telling people you're a unicorn billionaire, and you're influencing people, sharing whatever it is you did on how to activate the light and the blessings inside of yourself, to empower yourself so that you could process this dense, dark energy that tried to cause you to stumble and fall. So you're free from the backstory. You did not let fear stop you. You gave it time. You flowed on the river called life. You're entering into your destiny. You've reached your goal. You're in your purpose, or you soon will be. You're not in a mental prison. There could be some kind of an announcement coming up. Maybe you're making an announcement. Maybe there's an announcement being made by a vampire. You're very strong. You're very courageous. This important religious figure is paranoid about your lover, or the Lord, most likely, or the love of the Lord. Or maybe they're paranoid for what they've done to lovers. There's death to a reunion for this religious person. They're not happy about it. They could be a Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. We've got jealous in the reverse. There's no reunion for this religious person. It's like there's no jealousy allowed in this new chapter. And this religious person, for the status of importance, to appear important, was ruining people, destroying people out of jealousy. And so they don't get to go part of this reunited. There is no jealousy that's going to be going on in this sweetheart's territory. Absolutely the F not. We got a shadow demon here. Shadow demon. This religious priest feeding a shadow demon. They were worshiping death, feeding death, light-bodied people in order to appear important. They're in fact doubt, they're confessing. There's some kind of confessing. It's too late for them to take any action. This sweetheart has triumphed. She is an empath. They did their very best to destroy her. They were not able to. All these masculines ganged up on this feminine. And their girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever they are. They're triggered. They're triggered bad. They're sick. You've got your blessing. So they're overwhelmed, stressed out, triggered. They're sick about it. This is a narcissist. This Queen of Pentacles is making sure that this witch is not successful. You are, though. She's looking out for this blessing. She's looking out for the blessing of the legend. This sweetheart is her blessings are protected by this mother figure. So the witch, the religious witches, or whatever they are, we've got the world in the reverse. We've got sovereignty in the reverse. We've got happiness in the reverse. We've got caution, neglect. So those who neglected you and failed to give you what you needed need to use caution in this new chapter, because you have entered into your destined fate. You are with your person here, reunited. So they have to use caution. They neglected you and they need to use caution here. It's like, yeah, we got some stuff. Yeah, so we got cult leader in the reverse. They're not happy. South Node cult leader. And we got self-care. So you're not a cult leader. You take good care of yourself. There's this cult leader has lost their following, perhaps. Perhaps they're no longer a cult leader. Nobody wants to do anything that they tell them to do or suggest that they do. They got to use caution. They neglected a lot of people, or they neglected their self-care. So they neglected their self-care. This cult leader isn't happy. It's like they got kicked out of their position or they got demoted or something. They're not a sovereign being. They weren't able to complete whatever it is they thought they were going to do, because you are reunited. The sweetheart and her and the Lord, or you know, and I don't know if this Lord is the Lord or God or whatever, but it could actually be like a Lord, you know, I don't know. Take it as it resonates. You're financially stable. You're entering into a life of plenty. And those people who were not innocent here, these cult leaders and what, they have no balance. They're coming back. They want date night. They're reminiscing about how fun it was to constantly mess with your mind. They really want to get back into your energy so that they can continue to play in your mind with your consent. Tinfoil hat. They committed a lot of conspiracy theories regarding you. They told a lot of lies. They constantly told lies about you. This fashion witch. So they're in a tower. This pleasure seeking is in the grave, and so is their health. They don't have a few more months. There's an old woman here who is sick. The reflection, the mirror magic backfired, or she wasn't able to impersonate you. She's seen as dishonest regarding stability or regarding you being okay. Privilege. It could be that you are okay. and that you are privileged. They were lying about being stable in order to gain privilege. This is a pleasure seeker. They're going in the grave. Working on a routine to fight you. They're getting disconnected from your love, from your self-love, from your peace. This negativity is being removed. The red flags are not being ignored. They made a whole bunch of mistakes, or they did ignore the red flags. So they want to compromise now. They're all stressed out. They got a lot of stuff going on in their head. And we've got priest and journey. They're transitioning. They're going to make a journey. They're going into the spiritual world right now because you're taking the land back from these feral people. They don't have any ability to research, to trial and error, to learn, to gather as much information about how to increase the health and well-being of the flesh suit that houses the spirit and the soul, especially when you're living in a world where everything is intentionally poisoned. It's a real challenge. That these ones don't think it's fair that you're using plant medicines or adaptogens or whatever it is in your food that you're doing to increase this potency within you. They don't think it's fair. You've got a billionaire status. You're well known throughout the galaxy. They've been broadcasting lifetime stories about the suffering of humanity, to these other dimensional slave colonies or whatever they got going, so that everybody can be, sad. This narcissist is a love-bombing gaslighter. They think that this unicorn is a bitch. They want to feed on this oracle. You may be a prophetess or a prophet. This is a troll who does the very least in order to gain the very most, and they target starseeds who are telling this simp who wants to snack on them to go F themselves. This is a simp who does the most for somebody who cares the least, and this trauma-bonded individual is being warned to stop what they're doing. Bad things are going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and leave this one here. I hope that it clarifies something that you already intuitively knew, and I'll see you on the next one, everybody. Bye.